see my screen? Okay, great. Okay, um, let's go ahead and get started then. I am Eileen Doherty, and I am the director of the Colorado Gerontological Society. And today we're going to talk a little bit about a workbook that has been developed by the Conversation Project. And the idea behind it basically is to start the conversation about advanced care planning. This is part of our advanced care planning series. Today, as some of you may know, is National Healthcare Decisions Day. Somebody asked the question, will I be able to access the recording? And yes, we will make it available. And so National Healthcare Decisions Day is a national initiative, if you will, and it's specifically designed to have and encourage people to take action. So there are three purposes, if you will, for advanced care planning and National Healthcare Decisions Day. One is to get you to complete an advance directive. This includes appointing like a healthcare power of attorney, someone to make healthcare decisions on your behalf when you no longer are able to do that. And sharing then this information with your loved ones to ensure that your wishes are honored. We're going to assume today that you may have taken some of these steps, but what we're going to look at specifically is we're going to discuss the topic of what matters to me most. There's a workbook that has been developed by the Conversation Project and the Institute for Healthcare Improvement. And so that is going to be the document, if you will, that we are going to use for this conversation. There is another document which is called the 5 Wishes, which is somewhat similar, and some of you may have been familiar with that. Within the past year, I have also done a presentation on what are the pieces within the 5 Wishes document, and these two documents are a little bit different, but they get to the same idea. And the idea at the end of the day is that it's important for you through a process of self-examination, of very consciously thinking through what it is that you want, and then somehow, way, shape, or form, usually in written form being the best, that you write that information down, and then that you also share it with those people who are closest to you and that help to make those decisions. So this book, workbook, What Matters Most to Me, has 4 sort of objectives. One is it is designed to help people with serious illness get ready to talk to their healthcare team about what is most important to them. Now, there's a lot of conversation at this point in time that you do not have to wait until you have a serious illness. And partially because sometimes, especially with today's technology, people can experience serious illness without much preparation. So oftentimes we think of serious illness as somebody who is currently suffering from a stroke, suffering from cancer, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis. And those are chronic diseases that one gets and, except for a stroke, can oftentimes plan for. But sometimes we also are faced with a very acute episode that results in serious illness. So we may or may not want to wait until we have a serious illness. The workbook is not really about making any kind of medical decisions. So we're not going to give any instructions around what kind of care that we want. We're more going to be in a situation where we are thinking about it, where we are sharing that information, and we're making those preferences known. And then together, basically, with whoever we're working with, we can make decisions. Oh dear. So this did not come through. Okay, so I'm going to have to give me just a minute so I can get the link to the workbook. Okay. So I'm just going to work directly today from the workbook. So it's put out by Adrene Labs, and so they're the publishers, but you can simply download it into the browser. You can make a copy and work with it that way. So as I said, it's really designed to get you ready to talk to whoever your healthcare team is about what is important and to share that information. The thing is, you can do it by yourself or you can do it with someone else. You probably don't really want to rush through this because you're making some pretty significant life decisions. You can also skip questions and come back to them. You can put things in the boxes and then you can change it. If you are computer savvy, you can fill the form out online because it is a fillable PDF. If not, why, you can simply have a copy of it printed down and then you can write in it. The most important thing is if you put this together and you're ready to share it with your team, your healthcare team, make sure that you make an appointment with the doctor specifically for the purpose of going over your advance directives. Do not try to include this discussion, if you will, with your regular appointment when you go in to have your blood pressure checked or your knees checked or whatever. Medicare will pay the doctor for a annual review of your advance directives and those kinds of things. So make a special appointment so that the doctor allows enough time for you to be able to really talk with them in detail about what it is that you want. If you are talking to your family, explain to them that this is important to you because you want to make sure that they understand what is important to you. And a lot of times we think we know what's important to people, but we don't necessarily ever take the time to have that conversation. So the first question that we want to address then is, what is your understanding of your current health situation? So again, you can kind of follow along, jot down some notes, just sort of start thinking about this. Are you in very good health? Are you in good health, average health? Or are you seriously compromised at this point in time? How do you think of yourself? I will tell you that there is usually a very big disconnect between how you see yourself and how other people see you. So other people may see you as having many more illnesses or being sicker than you see yourself. There's nothing wrong with that disconnect. It's just that as you start to have the conversation with whomever, they may believe that you are sicker than you see yourself. How much information about what might be ahead with your illness would you like from your healthcare team? So, do you want everything that is available to be shared with you? Do you want some information, or do you want minimal information? And again, some doctors, some healthcare providers are very what I would consider nerdy, and they will give you lots and lots of information. Others will give you minimal information. I personally am one of these people who feel like I need lots of information to be able to make that informed decision. Without that information, I feel like I'm not really in a position to do that. So I would fill this out as saying that I want a lot of information and I want the research behind it. I want to know the probability of the treatment. I want to know the prognosis, and I want you to share that with me. This next section talks a little bit about you and what does a good day look like for you. So, on a good day, if you are healthy and you're going to work like I am every day, then a good day, includes doing the normal kinds of things. If I'm somewhat compromised or I maybe, my MS has advanced or my cancer isn't doing well or whatever, a good day might include just things like getting up and getting dressed. It might be making a phone call or watching TV. How much energy do you have to basically get involved with your bigger world? I'm thinking of a lady right now, and I'm probably going to use her a lot in this particular conversation. She is going to be 89 years old this summer. She has pretty advanced neuropathy. She has two pacemakers, not just one, but two. She has scoliosis. She has a lot of spinal issues, a lot of arthritis. Her blood pressure goes up and down a lot. Um, so, a good day for her is being able to get up out of her bed, to be able to fix her own lunch, to get herself, keep herself clean. She loses herself when she's feeling really good in solitaire on her Chromebook, and she refuses these days to watch much in the way of national news because she says it's too depressing. The next question then is, what is it like on a hard day? What does that look like for you? For her, what are the really tough things when she's having a hard day? A tough day for her means that she has a great deal of difficulty getting in and out of her chair. It takes her all day to have a cup of coffee, to eat, to try to prepare meals. She's still with the use of her microwave. She will cook for herself, but she eats then very slowly. She is not always as patient as she'd like to be with herself. She certainly is not interacting with anybody in the bigger world, and she spends a lot of time on those days in bed. She also spends a lot of time trying to um, just get comfortable with her medications. So, the next question that it's going to ask is, what are your goals? What is the most important thing to you as your situation, your healthcare condition worsens? So, here you will want to fill out what are the things that you want to be able to do. Maybe it's going for a walk. Maybe it's going to a child's wedding. Maybe it's feeling good enough to go to church, talking to your grandchildren. So, what is the really, really big thing that you would like to accomplish? And oftentimes we hear these things like the person just wants to get through Christmas, or they want to see their first grandbaby, or their great grandbaby or whatever it is. They want to be able to hold that baby. Those are the kinds of things that give us goals. We have purpose, and we're going to work really, really hard in our own health situation to be able to meet that goal. For my friend, her goal at this point in time is to be able to stay in her own apartment. Now, this section provides a series of questions. So you have basically, if you will, this scale, and there are 5 points here. So as a patient, you want to know only the basics about your condition and your treatment, all the way to you want to know only the details or all the details. The next question then is when there is a medical decision to be made, you want the healthcare team to just make it, or you want to have a say in it. For my friend, she wants to have a say. She ultimately wants me to make her decision, and she's done some of that already. But at the end of the day, she wants to be consulted. And she doesn't want me to make that decision all by myself. Recently, I had a different client, though, who didn't have a very high educational level. And she, every time I asked her what she wanted, she kept deferring to me. She's like, what do you think I should do? So again, it's very individualized, and you have to make your own decisions. So, what are your concerns about the medical treatment? Do you worry that they're not going to give you enough care? All the way to, do you worry that they're going to give you too much care? And this is really, really, in my opinion, very important for us as older adults. And I say that because I have seen in my many years of practice, older adults really what I consider to have treatment withheld. And it's withheld oftentimes on not the basis of money, but withheld on the basis of, I don't think they can tolerate it, or he or she can tolerate it. We had a big discussion a week or two ago with the Colorado Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing about deep cleaning your teeth. And the assumption by those guys is that if I have 4 quadrants of cleaning on my teeth, that just because I happen to be 60 years of age or over, that becomes adult abuse. I'm like, what? That is not abuse. The patient should be able to tell the dentist, either clean half of my mouth or all of my mouth. But the department has made a unilateral decision that if you have 4 quadrants of cleaning on your teeth on the same day, that is abuse. So again, I worry, and some people do as well do, that care will be denied. Okay. Some people don't want everything, and so they do want care to be more maybe rationed, or at least not as much care, because they don't want to maybe go through all of the pain and trauma associated. The next question is, how much medical treatment are you willing to go through for the possibility of getting more time? So, time for some people is very important. I learned many, many years ago that when people are very healthy, they believe that they do not want a lot of life-saving procedures. But as one gets older, I have found many people will change their mind about the amount and the frequency of medical treatments that they want. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to change your mind while you're starting down a treatment protocol and say, I don't want this anymore, or to say, I want more. It's totally okay. What's most important is you telling people where you want to be on this scale. Another thing that's important is if your health condition gets worse, what do you want? And where do you want to live? My 90 or 89-year-old little friend, she is absolutely adamant that she does not want to go to a healthcare facility. Others want to spare their family and loved ones, and they want to go, for example, to an assisted living or to a nursing home. Um, they they want somebody who's got professional skills to take care of them. My little friend, I have told her, I cannot promise you that I won't put you in a nursing home. She's way beyond anything at this point in time that a assisted living could provide her with care for. But I can't guarantee her if she were to have a stroke and not be able to get in and out of her chair or not be able to get her own food or go to the bathroom by herself, I can't take care of her. And she has no family to come in and support her. So I've told her I can't promise you 100%, but I'll do my best to keep you at home. And we have had a very open conversation about if you fall, if you get hurt, if you can't move, you may die sooner. And she's like, that's okay. I want to be in my own four walls. Another question that you want to look at is sharing information about your illness. So, who do you want to know about your illness? Do you want your kids to know? Do you want your cousins and your family members to know? Do you want no one to know? I had a very interesting conversation about a month ago with a professional colleague who called me on my cell phone on a Saturday morning to tell me that she had lung cancer. She had not told her kids, she had not told her siblings. And I'm like wondering, why has she told me? Why is she telling me? Although we're not very close friends, we do share a nice bond. Um, and I thought afterwards that maybe she was telling me because she needed to verbalize it so that she could work out the details in her own mind of how and what she was going to tell her children and her siblings and other close friends. I don't really know, but again, how much information do you want shared, with who, when? Next question, what are your big fears and worries? What are you worrying about? What do you not want to happen? What are you concerned about? A lot of people, as they grow into their end of life, are concerned about pain. They also are very concerned about being disconnected from other people. And I'm worrying about that right now for my brother-in-law. Although he has 6 siblings, he's going to have to go to assisted living. There's no question about that at this moment. But I am also concerned that not a single person is going to come and visit him on any regular basis. He's got 10 or 15 nieces and nephews. My husband and I live 1,000 miles away. So yes, we can go visit 3 or 4 times a year, but we're not there every week or every other week. So I'm really concerned about his being able to have social interaction and relationships with family. Another thing that people get really concerned about is if they need too much care. Who and how are you going to make that decision? The next question is, what are your strengths? What do you think about in terms of the future of your illness, and who or what do you want to do? Do you think about relationships with families, with friends, with your faith? Or do you think about other things that bring you pleasure, such as your garden or your animals, or doing a genealogy project, or reading, or being able to just listen to music? So those are the things that, again, we want to be sure that we bring into your life so that we can give you not just quality of life, but that you can have strength to get through this illness. Because getting strength and being able to make these decisions will help with your own attitude, and it will help with your own ability to have relationships with other people. What are your abilities? What is critical to your life that you can't imagine living without? So, is it your spouse? Is it your voice? What happens if you had a stroke and you couldn't talk tomorrow? What happens if you had a stroke and the right-hand side of your body doesn't work anymore? So, what is it that's really, really important to you that if you lost would be very, very sad? And what would you do to keep going? So if the left hand or the right hand side of your body didn't work anymore, would you just give up? Would you want to be in a wheelchair? Would you go to physical therapy to see how much strength you could regain? So what makes it important? What things will you do to keep going? This particular example says, as long as I can sit up in bed and talk to my grandchildren, have ice cream, watch football, recognize my family, that will keep me going. If you get sicker, what matters most to you? Do you want a longer life, or do you want quality of life? And again, there are a lot of people who these days are trading quality of life, my 88-year-old lady friend, versus quantity of life or longer life. She's basically saying, I want to live in my own apartment, and if something happens to me and I die a month, 6 months, a year earlier, that's okay. Some people, on the other hand, want to live longer, so we put more supports into place to help them stay alive. We might give them additional chemo sessions, we might give them more medications, we might put into place a much more rigorous therapy program, exercise program, with the thought that they're going to get an extra 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 2 or 3 years. I have no way to know. This section looks at wishes and preferences and what you want. If my health situation worsens, here's what I want to make sure does happen. So, want to be as independent as possible. If you're in an institution, do you want to go back home? Do you want the doctors to do everything they can to keep you alive? Do you want to make sure that you see all of your children and grandchildren one more time? I had an aunt one time who it was really important to her as she was in her last stages. Her son was in Iraq and she lost consciousness, but we kept her alive on machines so that he could come back from Iraq to be able to see her one more time. We don't know at this moment, and never will, whether she was conscious that he was able to see her, but the military agreed, brought him back on a military transport so that he could see her one more time. um, and then the next question, obviously, is what do you not want to happen to you? So, do you not want to be a burden? Do you not want to be alone? Do you not want CPR? Do you not want to go to ICU? Do you want painkillers? What are the things that you don't want to happen? And then this next question says, is there anything else that you want to make sure your family, friends, and healthcare team know about you and your wishes? Especially if your condition worsens or you get sicker. Then the next section here starts to look at what questions do you want to ask your healthcare provider. So here's where you're really doing some, if you will, research, information gathering, trying to get information and help in making those decisions as you plan for putting down your preferences, your requirements, whether you're using a medical power of attorney, whether you're using a most form. Those are the two most frequently used forms in Colorado, is the medical order for scope of treatment or your medical power of attorney, or both documents. And as you can see by the nature of these questions, what you're really starting to collect information on with this document is not just preferences, but what's happening to me. If I have a prognosis that I might live a year or less, what am I going to experience? What kind of treatment might I need to consider? If I go the curative route, which means I'm basically looking at therapy, I'm looking at medications, I'm looking at surgery, those kinds of things. If I take the comfort route and I get sicker, then what am I looking at there? What's my worst or best case scenario? And again, I would suggest that as you're thinking about this, imagine yourself in this situation. So if the doctor says you have a year or less to live, and if he says the pain is going to become worse, imagine yourself in pain. And what is it that you want to combat that pain? Do you want fentanyl? Do you want opioids? Do you want morphine? Do you want to try to do more exercise? Do you want to limit your movement? And if you do, what happens in terms of getting bed sores? So those are the things that you want to try to talk about. The next section then here talks about people. Are there key people that you want involved in your care? Family, friends, faith leaders, anyone else, neighbors. And here's where you need to put together a list of who those people are and what their telephone numbers are and what their relationship is. Now, I recently had made a home visit to a lady who is estranged from all three of her children, although she desperately would like them to be involved in her care. She is in her mid-90s. Her doctor is pushing for her to get a power of attorney that he can consult with. She has not spoken to any of her children for more than 15 years. So she is yearning for some relationship, but most likely that is not going to happen. And so we have to figure out, and she is still really struggling with this because, as I told her, we can write letters, which I did on her behalf, asking those children to contact her. They did not. So now she has to come up with who else is going to be involved in her care and what is that going to look like. The next question is for the people who are going to be involved in your care, how much do they know about your wishes and preferences? And have you had discussions with them about their role in making decisions and what basically this conversation that we are having? Have you talked to them? And I don't want to hear from any single one of you that they know what I want. Osmosis does not work very well in place of conversations. And for those of you who don't know what osmosis is, it's the process of when the sun comes out and spring comes, and it's the process of the leaves turning green on trees. And somehow the green leaves know when the sun comes out in the spring that they're supposed to turn green and provide shade. But we don't have the luxury of somehow somebody just magically knowing what I want without my having one conversation, but multiple conversations. So osmosis doesn't work here very well. Then we get to the next bigger question, which is who is going to make those medical decisions? This could be a person who is a healthcare proxy. It could be an agent through a medical power of attorney or some other surrogate. But basically, in Colorado, your safest thing is to appoint someone to be your medical power of attorney. You can give that decision-making power to two people who have to agree and come together, or you can do one person with a successor, which I highly recommend, because if one person is not able to serve, then at least you have a second person who's able to serve and make decisions for you. Here's where the rubber starts to hit the road. And so now is the time to take action. And that's what National Healthcare Decision Making Day is all about, is to get you to take action. So, have you talked with the person about what matters to you? Have you filled out the form? And does the person have a copy of the form that you have filled out? This is simply the section that talks about who the important people are in your life, your doctor, your social worker, your specialists, other people that might be need to know, and again, giving that information. And now we're about to get closer to the end of this, which is now that you've completed it, the workbook itself, and you've sort of done a lot of soul searching, you've decided who you want to select, you're basically at the end of this process. And what happens now is you're ready for activity and to go into action. So that concludes the remarks related to the workbook on what matters most to me. A little bit about the Society's programs. Many of you have seen this before. We do have a dental program. We're currently out of money, expecting new money come the 1st of July. This is for people who do not have Medicaid, but who are relatively low income. A single person can make between about $3,300, a couple about $4,400. So if you think you might be eligible, call for a application, and we're happy to send that out to you. Our Telephone Buddy program is available to you to be either a telephone buddy and call people, or for you to receive telephone calls. People check in once or twice a week to make sure that everything is going okay. They're more family friend. They're like a friend. They're not specifically somebody who is going to provide you much more than telephone companionship. The one thing that I do want to mention here, and I don't know if everyone in this group is aware of it, but currently we are working on a big tax initiative called the Senior Housing Income Tax Credit. And for people whose annual income is below $25,500, and that's your income from all sources, regardless if you're in a nursing home, assisted living, low-income housing, don't have to file taxes, doesn't matter. The goal is to provide you with an $800 check from the state of Colorado to help with housing costs or whatever else it is you need. If your income is between $25,000 and $75,000, you'll get a prorated amount. If your income is below $25,000 and is actually below about $18,700, you can fill out a different form and you would be eligible for up to, again, depending on what your rent and other expenses are, you might be eligible for up to another $1,000 in terms of housing support. So we really want to encourage you to take advantage of those housing cash supports that the state of Colorado has put into place. You can call our office to get more information about that. We can send you the forms. You can go to our website, and one of the banners, if you click on the banner, it will take you to a little article and the links. You can fill out the form online, or you can download it and mail it in, whatever works for you. The biggest thing that I am personally on a crusade for is that this program was available in 22, and then it's now available for 24 filers. And they're currently considering it for 25, and only 52,000 people used it. And I figure there's probably 250,000 people eligible for it. And not all of those people are eligible for the full $800, but I am on a personal crusade with our agency, and I'm asking every single one of you, don't be too proud to ask your neighbors and friends if they've heard about it, if they've taken advantage of it, and get them to apply for the benefit. It comes out of the Tabor refunds, and we have lots of Tabor money in this state, and that's a way that you personally can benefit. Here's just a little bit about some of our other programs that we have available, and you're welcome to ask any questions if you have that. That concludes our program today. So now I will take